Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and after Loki episode 4 of season 2, what the hell happens now? Everything's gone. Victor Timely is donezo. He's on top of spaghetti, and he is a spaghetti. It seems like the TVA is destroyed. Everyone's dead. Are we okay? Where the hell does this show go on from here as we look ahead to episode 5? We're gonna talk about it because this is the sneak peek where we take the temperature of whatever we are watching while we head into the next episode or look ahead into this upcoming week of nerddom. And joining me on this episode, moments away from spaghettification on his end, is Tommy Bechtold.
Delicious. A spaghetti is a dish best served timely.
Yeah, very bad timing for Victor Timely this episode. They showed his bones, Tommy. Can you believe that?
That was one of the more gruesome. I mean, we had been spaghettifying had been a thing since they string cheesed Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, you know, I wasn't ill prepared for it. But the way that he became torn asunder like that was truly, truly devastating. And I gotta say, I liked it.
I liked it too.
It did something for me.
Yeah, this was like, I gave a standing ovation in the breakdown because I can't believe Marvel actually went through with this. I think it was an awesome move. And it's just kind of like, it's exactly what you want a good piece of Marvel content to do. It's just to kind of end you with such a spectacle.
Yes.
And to just leave you only asking questions for how they top this.
Yeah. I mean, I'm left completely baffled by where it goes from here, but I'm excited to talk. I'm excited to peek into it sneakily.
And by the way, Tommy and I did start to talk about this whole Victor Timely moment over on the Break Room channel. Check out our Inside Marvel discussion with Mod on that. But yeah, let's dive into it now as we look ahead to episode 5.
Absolutely. So things seem kind of dire there at the end of the episode. That's probably putting it lightly. Timely has been turned into pasta. The TVA seems destined to be destroyed. What comes next for the TVA as the temporal loom continues to overload? Temporal loom, however you want to say it. I say it tempora, like Owen Wilson. Erik, what's next for the TVA?
Yeah, you know, I've been comparing this whole crisis that we actually saw at the end of episode 1. I've been comparing it to the hatch on Lost in season 2 of Lost. Every 108 minutes, they have to punch in this time code of the 6 numbers to kind of reset the clock. But basically, the idea is the overloading electromagnetic radiation is always there, and you just kind of have to like reset everything to keep it at bay. And I feel like that's what the temporal loom is. It's just always kind of destined to be on this loop of always hitting this existential crisis. And so it's like Ragnarok for the TVA, right?
Yeah.
Ragnarok is a cyclical event, and we are now witnessing the TVA's Ragnarok. That's what I think that wall of fire is for Loki. Now, this Loki, remember, got extracted from the sacred timeline before he saw Asgard destroyed.
Right.
Now, he knows that Asgard was destroyed from season 1, episode 2, how he's looking through the apocalyptic events.
Yes.
And he saw his life and his destiny play out on film reel projector. But this is him going through that rite of passage. So, if you look at Lost, Desmond had to kind of punch it in, and then he became disillusioned with having to do that. And then at the end of season 2, he has to turn the failsafe key, and it ends up blowing up the hatch. And it's kind of a similar moment where it's like, whoa, what happens now? And then season 3 begins with Desmond just kind of popping up naked. And he can see Charlie's future. He's like, I know you're gonna die, Charlie. And then as the series goes on, Desmond becomes the most interesting character to watch because he becomes unstuck in time. His consciousness is hopping around at different points in his life. And I think that's where Loki is headed. I think he's going to be time displaced. He's going to be hopping around to different points of his life. And I think this show is going to loop back to the events of season 1. He's all the same players.
Wow.
And I think he's going to be able to replay the events of the Citadel. He's going to try to talk. I don't know if he'll be consciousness displaced. I think the way they've shown it is time slipping. And I think he's going to be time slipping to different parts of his own history, future and past.
Wow. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because it does feel like we from what we have left in the trailers, we have to see him go back, revert to time slipping. Once something reaches like a critical mass like that, it's like, yep, now it's not afterlife is the wrong way to explain it, but it is like now your spirit is roaming somewhere else. And I think now is probably the time to see Loki's spirit or Loki himself slipping throughout time. And I'm ready for it, Erik. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, do we think, like, where else could Loki go? Like, he could end up in the Citadel or something like that, or he could end up in the Void, because that's kind of what season 1 did, right? Like, Loki, we thought was dead, and then woke up in the Void.
We have to get to the Void this season, right? Like, there's no way we're not going to see the Void, right?
Well, Renslayer got pruned, and I think she's going to be in the Void. We know from trailer footage. At this point, we're just looking at what's left. Like, what other footage is left from the trailer footage? I mean, there's a shot of Renslayer in the Void, facing down Goliath.
Oh, right.
We know there's a shot of Loki time slipping to the jet ski parking lot.
Yes.
And there's a shot of like the chronomonitor screen that's spaghettifying. There's some shots of Sylvie in like either her flat or her record store, where like she's looking at a record player and that spaghettifies, or she's just kind of zoning out with some headphones on and the room around her is spaghettifying. And as far as I know, I'll have to look at the trailer footage again. I think that's all that's left.
So we've got a lot more pasta. It was National Pasta Day 2 nights ago, but it's about to be intergalactic pasta month for the remainder of Loki. So
yeah, you know, there is that function on the time stick that normally it's orange, and that's pruning. That's pruning mode. Yeah. But you can turn it purple, and that's like slow-mo mode. Slow mode.
Yes.
And that's what B-15 used to like whack Loki on the face.
Yes.
And he slowed down everything for him. And I wonder if that could be happening. Like, we slow down into this moment, and Loki's turning away, but we just kind of like freeze time the way that like the Ancient One froze down her death in Doctor Strange, and you just saw those lightning bolts slowly work their way across the sky. That could be what Loki does. We're really in like the 2.5 seconds before that radiation wall hits him.
Yeah.
And he's able to like time slip in and out of that 2.5 seconds.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Like almost as if the time slipping is like an involuntary survival mechanism for him now.
Oh, yeah. It kicks back in.
Yeah. Like it's a flight response. Yeah.
Maybe some future version of him is like saving him from this moment.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
My mind is going places now. Like, you know how in Inception, where the bridge and the rain level, like the van goes off of the bridge and they have like, you know, a few seconds before it hits the water.
Yeah, but the few seconds are minutes, and I love that part. God, I gotta watch Inception again.
Yeah, I think that's what we're gonna be here. I think time slipping is gonna be like the deeper layer that Loki goes into, but like he hasn't learned everything he needs to learn from his life yet. So he's gonna like be bouncing around to different parts of his life to figure out like how he can escape this or undo this moment. I think it's ultimately, there's one other shot we forgot. It just came to my mind. There's one shot from trailer footage where and this isn't a spoiler because it's in the trailer footage, Loki, without a radiation suit, walks out on the gangway toward the temporal loom. So I think that's gonna be the answer. Maybe the answer is the fact that like, because the Miss Minutes was reset, that the magic dampeners are off, and that Loki can kind of use his frost giant magic, his Asgardian magic, his Frigga witch magic to put a protective barrier around himself that might be able to resist the radiation long enough for him to get out there.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm all up for Frigga magic. Give me some Rene Russo cameos as well while we're at it, you know?
Yeah. Tommy, do you think we'll get any big cameos? Like in season 1, we got Jamie Alexander playing Lady Sif.
Yeah.
We got a Balder the Brave shout out in episode 3. Could we get a Daniel Craig Balder show up on this show?
I mean, they mentioned the shout out. We know that he was ready. They fitted him for the suit, right? Like, I mean, that does feel like they don't often make those mistakes, right? It's not often that someone is mentioned without it being a follow. Like Owen Wilson knows who Balder the Brave is, right? Like, and it seems implied that he knows that from Norse mythology. But is it possible that that Mobius, his knowledge of just time, like Balder the Brave, has appeared to him at some point? Like, is it possible that he's seen Daniel Craig as Balder the Brave in some timeline? Who knows?
It's like they all seem to have some common knowledge of Norse mythological figures.
Right.
Like that's what Renslayer used to just do the shorthand explanation to Victor Timely in episode 3. She's like, okay, so there's another version of yourself, and then they were killed by 2 doppelgangers of the same Norse god. Because people know what the Norse gods are. Right. You know, that's common cultural understanding. So it's but what was really weird, remember at the end of Loki season 1, how like B-15 and Mobius didn't even know what a Loki was. They were like, a what?
Yeah, that's a good point. But Mobius, he seemed so wooden carvings, he was like, he saw those wooden pillars and was like, okay, that's this person, this person, this person. It's meant to be played comedically, but I wonder if there's a deeper hint towards a Balder cameo. I still feel like if we're going to see Loki slipping throughout his life, we're primed for a Chris Hemsworth cameo. It would be the most surprising. I don't know that they need any cameos in this show. I don't know that they need them. Yeah. There's everyone. I mean, the cast is so stacked with good characters and actors, just really, I think, doing a great job at them. But I would enjoy a Thor cameo. Other than that, like, I guess the other thing is, because he seems to like doing any and all Marvel things, a Hulk, a Bruce Banner, a Smart Hulk cameo or something like that.
Ruffalo, yeah.
Like a reunion between, because of obviously the iconic ragdolling of Loki from the first Avengers movie. Some sort of reunion between that. But, I certainly don't need it. And that to me would be probably more of a distraction. I'm not thinking too much about cameos. I'm more thinking about these characters. No. And I know as you are. But is there any cameos that you've been pining for?
We knew from deleted scenes that Thor at least voiced Throg for season 1. Right. For Chris Hemsworth did. I think Chris Hemsworth is probably like, he feels a lot of pressure to get in like crazy, insane shape anytime he plays Thor. So I wouldn't want to put that on him just for a cameo.
Right.
But like if there's like a vocal thing you could do, just like a quick thing you could do, or maybe get back in the fat suit or something like that would be really fun. Right. Balder, seeing Daniel Craig show up as Balder would be my dream. Yes. Because here's the deal. Like, I think Marvel I know they view the TV series, the streaming series, as not as important as the movies, which maybe they aren't. But for Daniel Craig to show up in a movie would be a big deal. He's he's freaking James Bond.
Absolutely.
Formerly James Bond. He's one of the biggest movie stars. Yeah.
He's literally James Bond.
Would they put him as Balder in a streaming series? Probably not. But yeah, I just like how much this show reminds us that despite it being a Douglas Adamsian sci-fi work comedy, it is a show about Norse gods.
Yes.
So
he reminds Sylvie was it episode 3 when he's like, "We are gods."
Yeah, it's episode 4.
4. Yeah, right? Episode 4. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. But you're right. No, that moment to me, I was like, where he's reminding her of the plot points from the 2011 Thor movie, and how Thor became worthy through his weakness. I just thought I love how much we see this on the show.
Yeah, and also, Loki, the character, Tom Hiddleston has played Loki as this iteration through the TVA as someone who has changed or seemingly changed so much, right? Like, we almost believe Loki has become so much more human and compassionate and empathetic. Whether that's real or the ultimate trick that he's playing on us is yet to be seen. But it's like, we are reminded through those glimpses of like the power that Loki has, right? I mean, his power had been dampened, but now kind of untethered. He really is a terrifying demigod. So
I'm just loving this show right now. I don't need any cameos. I don't want us to be like, when we were doing Ahsoka and covering Star Wars, they are so reliant on their cameos.
Right.
And I feel like the MCU sometimes feels that pressure, but a show like Loki is so good. Like, isn't it crazy that when we watched season 1, the fact that Jamie Alexander showed up as Lady Sif was like just like the 14th or 15th most interesting thing.
Absolutely. And I agree. And I think it speaks to a larger thing that I know both you and I have touched on, which is like, enjoy what we have in front of us with Marvel. It's not about what surprise cameo or what post-credit scene is coming. Take in the main course. Enjoy what we're getting from Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson and all the other fantastic actors on this show. And if you get a cameo, great. That's some Parmesan on your Victor Timely spaghetti.
Man, we should have had some pasta ready to go while we were doing this episode.
I'm so hungry now. I'm going to ask John, I know you're listening. Can you Grubhub me a plate of spaghetti?
Costa pasta. It's in your contract, I thought.
He's an imposter.
We got to call our old buddy Gorgash.
Yes. Oh my God. Gorgash is on one of those electric bikes that we were pedaling for a while. No pun intended. Gorgash is
he doesn't know how to get off.
Gorgash has been riding a Hovsko for 47 straight days. He just buzzes by once a day going, "Who's hungry? Who's hungry?"
I do not know the break. I just keep going faster.
Quick, throw sandwich in mouth. I catch sandwich with mouth and spit out at you.
Gorgash is trapped on loop of Penrose stairs. It's all down. There's no up.
If I didn't know Gorgash a kidney, I wouldn't talk to him anymore.
Well, he's such a piece of shit.
He is. He's awful.
He doesn't ever invite us over. He only just asks if we're hosting.
It's always, where is Gorgash? Never, why is Gorgash?
All right. We gotta remind you guys that the best way to support us here at New Rockstars is to grab some Loki-inspired merch from nerdriot.shop.
Yes.
Tommy and I are both spouting some Marvel designs. I got our Mobius Pie shirt that smells pretty bad, but it's just getting more comfortable because it's merging with my skin. But Tommy's got our Flurkin design for the upcoming Marvels film.
Yes, this is the only time you will ever see me wearing a cat shirt that isn't Garfield.
Hey, Garfield also knows that it's always pasta time.
That's right. John, you hear that? Get us some lasagna. Yes, I agree. Get these shirts. They're so comfortable. The Loki designs are really, I'll be honest, crowd pleasers. I get a lot of compliments on those on the street.
Yeah, I do too. Especially, I'm not wearing it now, but we got this new OB shirt, and you guys got to see this. It is awesome. I'm going to be wearing that for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
I got to get like a little OB. I'm going to just wrap my newborn child in this shirt. That will be the child's swaddling clothes.
I was going to say, if you wear that OB shirt all year, you're going to have some real BO. But then you mentioned your kid, and it got all cute. So yes, let's swaddle the Voss baby in an OB shirt. That child's going to be outfitted exclusively by Nerd Riot. And you know what? That child shall be wise. That child shall have a great future. So yes, please, by all means, subscribe to all 3 channels of the New Rockstars Network, by the way. New Rockstars, The Deep Dive, and of course, the one near and dear to my heart, The Break Room.
So I got a call from my bank recently asking me whether or not I'd spent 15 grand in Vegas. And yeah, although I guess a shopping spree in Vegas does sound nice, fraud sure isn't. But the good news is, you know that your financial info is secure just by using PayPal. More than 422 million people were affected by data compromises in the year 2022. Every time you buy something online, your financial information is logged on a new site with new security protocols. It's just too much to keep track of for any one person. PayPal gets that, which is why they work hand in hand with over 35 million merchants worldwide to help protect your financial data, payments, and eligible purchases. Adding your credit cards to your PayPal app gives you access to 24/7 fraud monitoring, passkey login security, financial encryption, purchase protection on eligible purchases, and lets you send money securely. There's never a bad time to rethink how to keep your digital wallet safe, and you can start right now by using the link in the description to download the PayPal app today.
All right, now Eric, this episode closed the loop on episode 1's Loki prune. We've all learned our lesson on guessing who the heck was pruning Loki, because I feel like by the end we all were on board with it was Loki. Are we going to see, I mean, we kind of alluded to it in the last discussion, more cyclical moments like this, or is that a one and done gimmick that we won't see more again? Are we going to see some more time loops here?
Yeah. In fact, let's spend the next few days rewatching every scene that happens in the TVA for every character in the background.
Yeah.
Because this episode proved that, like, watching the background details is important because you could see Loki creeping up back on himself. This is like Back to the Future Part 2.
Yes.
If Zemeckis really did shoot Part 2 at the same time as Part 1 and hid these little things in there. I'm willing to bet that we're going to find some other examples of, like, background Lokis throughout the TVA of, like, future instances where he's looped back on himself. Just like quick flashes, like David Fincher flashing Brad Pitt throughout Fight Club. So yeah, I think we will see more time loops, and I'm betting that we have already seen them. So let's just rewatch.
Ooh, yes, a rewatch is mandatory now. Mandatory fun. Play my graphic. I think Loki is one of the more rewatchable shows that we cover at New Rockstars. I think The Boys, season 1, but Loki for in terms of Disney Plus Marvel series, oh my goodness, I could do a rewatch of that once a month, and in fact I just might. Okay, so now we've got to talk about I'll just say it, someone who has occupied my mind, body, and soul for a long time now, Miss Minutes was rebooted, but not before telling Victor, there's something I need to tell you. And then just letting it be, you'll never be him. So I don't know if that was really what she meant to say. Do we think those statements are connected? Was there something else Miss Minutes wanted to tell him, but then the reboot just made her petty and angry, or she just panicked and was like, you know what? I'm not going to have time to say it, so I'm just going to say something mean.
You know, I didn't think of it that way, but that's such a cool way to interpret it. Like the reboot or the glitching caused some other meaner side of her to flash in for a second. And that originally she was going to say something like, it was something encouraging. Yeah. You know, in the breakdown, I posited that like her saying you'll never be him was her way of putting a chip on his shoulder to get him to do something stupid. Because I think that him hearing that is what made him decide to be the hero.
And he did something stupid. He did something.
And he did the stupidest thing.
Decidedly stupid.
I mean, the real, like, we talked about what makes a Loki. What makes a he remains is the fact that he remains.
Yes.
He does not go out in the line of fire like Leroy Jenkins. He hangs back and lets someone else jump on the grenade.
Time's up. Let's do this. Oh, my God.
So by saying you'll never be him, she was creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because he didn't realize what him means. You'll never be him. He decided, okay, well, I think to be him is to be a hero, but no, to be he remains is to be a coward.
Yes.
And to let someone else jump on the grenade.
Yes.
So my read of that moment is that she knew what she was doing and that she knew the future of what would happen by him. Like she told him the worst possible thing to tell someone who you want to remain.
Well, and the look on her face, the way she was drawn, the just pure anger and hatred in her eyes at him, like, you'll never be him. You know, it's like, it was said with so much acid. You're right. It had its exact desired effect.
I was going to ask you, didn't it feel like a callback actually to episode 3 when she was rushing at him and then he switched her off? And then when Renslayer turned it back on, she was like, love you. Oh. Like, I think that was a callback to that. So we think that she's going to say, I have one thing to tell you. I love you.
And
but instead it's, I have one thing to tell you. You'll never be him unless you go on this suicidal mission.
Unless you serve up never-ending pasta, Olive Garden style. Now, Eric, I'm going to ask this follow-up, and God, I hope the answer is somewhere not in the 2 options I give you. Is Miss Minutes dead, or is she just a baby? You know, we saw her blink out before she became that old-school clock. What do we think? Is she reborn, or is she just a clock now? Is she in a vegetative state?
I think she's in a vegetative state. I don't think we've seen her final form. I think Miss Minutes is going to come back in the final episode in her most monstrous form yet and her most dangerous form yet.
Yeah,
I think Miss Minutes is the villain of this season. I have no doubt in my mind that she is the villain of this season.
Oh, I can't wait.
She has been the most frightening character. She's been the way she reacted when those people got crushed in the cube. Like, that is the most evil expression. Like, even Thanos didn't take that much joy.
No, Thanos was like,
people.
This is just something I have to do so I can go make my soups.
You know, what's missing from that soup is a side plate of pasta.
Yeah. Oh, I love soup with pasta incorporated. Minestrone? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. Okay. I'm getting horny for soup. You know it's a Thursday when I'm getting horny for soups.
I think we got to head back up to Northern California and go with our friends from the Kyber Cave crew.
Yes,
remember that?
That's right. Yes, go to the Kyber Cave.
Who hooked us up with some Olive Garden. That was one of my favorite memories of 2023.
I had a legitimate amount of breadsticks that night that I think can't be understated or overstated.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
You know, Eric, next time you're down here, we got to go to the Burbank Super Walmart and go to that Olive Garden.
When you're there, did you know this? Your family.
And did you know that I recently found out through TikTok, you can buy the Parmesan cheese Romano grater. They sell those.
Oh,
and
really?
if you buy it, they'll give you a little takeaway thing of the cheese that they use so you can sample it when you get home.
Now, that's fascinating to know. I want to ask, in the grater of the Parmesan, to grate it into these stringy forms, do they just have a column core of Parmesan that's in there that you spiral down?
I think it's a temporal loom. No, it's No, you just put little. It's like one of those cylinder. Yeah, like what you're saying. It's like the self-playing pianos where you have to put the tubes in that have the grooves to play the notes. They put one of those tubes in, okay. and then it stringifies the cheese. Yeah.
So it spaghettifies the cheese.
Yeah. So it really is a loom, as I said.
There's a temporal loom.
Guys, Eric, we're gonna bring a camera crew to Olive Garden, and you and I are gonna get down on the cheese shredder. Will it be anything productive for the channel? No. Will it be delicious and we can write it off or charge a company card? Yes. And
There's
that's what it's all about. Oh, it's a greeting card that just says, pay up, motherfucker. You open it and it just says, ha ha ha, you cover the bill. All right.
Oh my God. Okay, it is now time for our heat check, and it is hot on Loki right now. I gotta say, looking ahead to episode 5, I have no qualms whatsoever. This show has been, I was talking to Mod about this last week, it's just getting better and better.
Yeah, I agree.
I didn't think it was gonna be this good for Loki season 2, to be honest, without Kate Herron, without Michael Waldron.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if it'll end up being better than season 1, because season 1 was almost flawless.
Mm-hmm.
We still have 2 episodes for them to screw things up. But I just don't think they will.
Yeah.
This is like the most fun I've had in Marvel, I think, since season 1 of Loki.
Yes. I agree. I think when I did the rewatch with John, I had forgotten how much I enjoyed season 1. But what it really did was it set me up into a great place to start enjoying season 2. And I felt like they picked up so quickly right where they left off. They explained things in a way that was interesting and didn't feel cheap. And then since then, it's just been a lot of fun. Some really, really great performances. And I just like where the story's going. I'm excited. I'm a little bit, I'm almost kind of, in a really refreshing way, completely gobsmacked about where the show is going to go. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. And that could even mean the recasting of Kang. Now, no, this show won't do that.
No, but, could you imagine?
I mean, do you think, we talked about this a bit on Inside Marvel, I just think some VFX artists might have shown his bones just to give Marvel that option.
Yeah, they're like, hey, he's gone. Yeah.
I
don't know. I mean, it's such a tricky situation. The only thing I could say as a zag is that, like, at the last minute, Loki does, like, he holds up like a prune stick and he's just pruning all the energy around him. And as I on our Doomsday Clock show, I just keep predicting that the entire thing is an illusion and that the TVA is just created to keep these variants terrified from rejoining their lives on the sacred timeline. It's just like the TVA is a prison, and it's just a prison of illusions and like hyper realistic, violence and pain and all of these things and food and everything feels so real in there, but it's still just one Kang keeping them all prisoners so that they don't fuck with his timeline. And so if Loki's just pruning it in real time as it's going around him, and then it's just, we see like Immortus or Scarlet Centurion or one of those like horrible Kangs. It's like, all right, you figured it out. The TVA is all fake. You guys are all prisoners. Even the ones you cubed. You're cubing yourselves. You look in the mirror. You are the Cuban. And that's the only crazy thing I could see. I like your
And it's
solution.
Mark Cuban?
It's Mark Cuban. And it's a Cuban sandwich. And it's a Cuban cigar.
He's like, you thought it was Italian night.
Yeah.
It's
Mark Cuban eating a Cuban, smoking a Cuban, drinking a Cuba Libre.
You know what I think is we're going to pan out, and instead of it being the TVA, it's going to be that weird shot in Secret Invasion of all the people in the gurneys in the basement.
Yes. Oh my God.
And everyone will be pissed.
Yes.
John Costa will just pour lighter fluid on himself.
John Costa will self-immolate in a steaming bucket of marinara. He'll pour it over his head, and he'll burn it like Daenerys's brother in season 1 of Game of Thrones.
Pasta fit for a Costa. What?
Oh man, that delighted me.
We'll leave it there for this episode of the Sneak Peek.
Yes.
This has been a delight being able to celebrate Loki with you, Tommy, all season long.
Likewise.
And I'm saying this now because next week, who knows?
Next week we could be in mourning. We're wearing black now, but we could be wearing black veils. By the way, we should wear black veils anyway. Like the little girl from The Others with Nicole Kidman. Are you mad? I am your daughter.
I am your daughter.
Oh, yeah. This has been a delight, Tommy.
Yes.
Be sure to follow Tommy at Tommy Bechtold on Twitter and on all social media. We'll see you next week for the sneak peek. Follow me at EA Voss, and have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.